Good evening, friends, families, and the great class of 2021.
My name is Morgan Smith, and I'm a SPIA major from the best coast, Southern California.
I'm Michael, and I'm a math major from the great state of Indiana.
I'm Kamya, and I'm a politics major from New Delhi, India. And together, we've had the pleasure of serving as your Class Day co-chairs this past year. In many ways, the experiences of our committee have mirrored our senior year. We started work via Zoom, grappling 12-hour time differences, and now stand before you together on the campus we love, of course, socially distanced and compliant with the terms and conditions of the social contract.
The tradition of Princeton Class Day dates back to 1856. It's an opportunity for the senior class to reminisce, cherish, and celebrate their memories of the past 4 years. Although we haven't done deep research in Firestone Library to validate this claim, we believe this is the first class day to be offered virtually. Here's to micro-traditions that hopefully only last for 1 year.
Along with this being a day for our class, this is also time for us to celebrate and express gratitude for our friends and family who have been with us every step of the way through Princeton. This evening's program reflects our time together, featuring student speeches, honorary class membership, the conferral of student prizes, and of course, our Class Day speaker, Mr. Trevor Noah.
Thank you for joining us from wherever you are in the world to commemorate the great class of 2021.
And now I want to introduce my homie Chris, who graduated over 30 years ago and is the 20th president of Princeton University.
I'm delighted by the opportunity to congratulate the great class of 2021 as you celebrate your Class Day. Like you, I very much wish that we could be celebrating Class Day in person on Cannon Green. But I appreciate what your class officers and your Class Day committee have done to produce a virtual ceremony consistent with the limits imposed by the pandemic. Class Day is a venerable Princeton tradition that dates back to the 19th century. Over its history, it has undergone many changes. Not until 2001, for example, did the senior class invite an outside speaker to participate in the day. One feature of Class Day, however, has remained constant. This day belongs to you, the senior class. The senior class officers, not university administrators, have responsibility for organizing the day each year. And in a sign of the university's confidence in the education and maturity of its seniors, the Princeton president always presents the keys to the university to the president of the graduating class. I hand over the keys with special confidence today because the great class of 2021 has conducted itself brilliantly during this very difficult year. Thank you for the persistence and the determination that you have shown and for enabling us to run this university safely in the most difficult of circumstances. So, here they are, the keys to the university. You've probably always wondered what they look like. It turns out that they're quite large and sort of uncomfortable to carry around. We've been planning to replace them with a special Prox card or a convenient mobile app, but we're not quite there yet. Anyway, I will now use the new Zoom teleport object feature, which you can find in the control panel on the upper right of your screen, to send these to Emma Parrish, your class president. Always amazed when that actually works. Hey, Emma, I'm going to need these back at the end of the day, okay? Seriously. In the meantime, please enjoy your virtual Class Day celebration with the marvelous Trevor Noah. And I will look forward to seeing you soon in person for the university's most extraordinary and exceptional commencement ceremony ever in Princeton Stadium. Hey, 2021, you are spectacular.
Many thanks for those encouraging words, President Eisgruber. We look forward to many returns to campus, free of the threat of cicadas and the social contract. We will now hear from our other president, Emma Parrish, of the class of 2021.
If I were asked to choose one word that defines the class of 2021, the first one that comes to mind is resilience. It is undeniable that the past year has been filled with unanticipated and unprecedented challenges. Our class has remained strong, navigating the pandemic with a dedication to keeping our classmates and our community safe. We were able to overcome the academic barriers of the past 2.5 semesters, taking Zoom classes, going to virtual office hours, and even writing our senior theses from our childhood bedrooms. However, the resilient spirit of our class dates back to long before March of 2020. One of my favorite memories of Princeton is our Declaration Day at the end of sophomore year. I remember waking up to read a weather report that predicted rainstorms throughout the day. The other class officers and I weighed the options: move inside into Campus Club or move forward with our elaborate celebration in McCosh Courtyard. With the aspiration of holding the beautiful ceremony that we had hoped for, the other class officers and I decided to set up all the banners outside. Although there was some initial doubt that our classmates would not be willing to brave the rain, as soon as the event began, our class started flooding into the courtyard to eagerly take pictures. A little bit of rain would not stop us from celebrating the momentous occasion. Our class is made up of people from all different backgrounds and experiences. Our classmates hail from 49 states, Washington, D.C., and 76 countries. Though from all across the country and the world, we are all united in our ability to overcome obstacles, our dedication to learning and bettering the world around us, and by the fact that we have all taken writing seminar. Since before we even arrived on campus, we were all asking the same question: what is populism? Our class is able to overcome obstacles because we come together as a community. When I ran to be on class government just weeks after we arrived on campus for the first time, I went door-to-door campaigning, meeting as many classmates as I possibly could. I was amazed by the number of people who greeted me and even invited me in to sit and chat. We have been a community from the sunrise to the sunset giveaway, from course registration to Dean's Date, from Princeton Preview to Jason Derulo's Breakfast Nook. We will continue to be a community as alumni. Thank you to the great class of 2021 for giving me the honor of serving as your class president. Our class has shown strength in a year unlike any other. 4 years ago, we entered Fitz-Randolph Gate as a class. We exit the gate metaphorically, but more united and resilient than ever. 3 cheers to the great class of 2021.
We want to extend a massive thank you to our facilities staff for all that you've done over the past 4 years, and especially this year. From implementing enhanced cleaning protocols around campus and creating infrastructure such as building modifications and plexiglass, your collective efforts have allowed our campus to open for the spring semester to welcome our students, faculty, and staff back. Thank you for all that you do.
It is now time to present the prizes on behalf of the university and the great class of 2021.
The M. Taylor Pine Honor Prize is a prize awarded annually to the senior who has manifested in outstanding fashion the following qualifications: excellence in scholarship, character, and effective support of the best interests of Princeton University. This year's recipients are Paige Allen, Amy Chung, and James Packman. The Allen Macy Dulles Class of 51 Award. This year's recipient is Kelton Shastulik. Kelton is a School of Public and International Affairs concentrator. A first-generation college student from Chambersburg, Pennsylvania, he has stayed deeply connected to his hometown. Over holiday breaks, he launched a book drive for a homeless shelter in his community and smashed his original goal of collecting 200 books, ultimately accepting 4,500 donations. The program has grown to provide books for prisons and community centers. Kelton also co-launched a podcast called Chambersburg to College, which helps promote educational access while providing inspiration and navigational assistance to current high school students through personal narratives about the college experience. The Frederick Douglass Award. This year's recipient is Ashley Hodges. Ashley is an African American Studies concentrator. Committed to liberation and justice throughout the African diaspora, Ashley's focus on connecting her intellectual pursuits with making a tangible impact has defined her Princeton experience. In a summer marked by a national reckoning with racism and injustice, Ashley co-edited a list of resources that addressed racial justice, anti-racist reforms, and other topics intended to promote discussion, allyship, and action. She also spent that summer interning at the Ida B. Wells Just Data Lab, led by Professor Ruha Benjamin. Through her collaborative work on campus, Ashley has shown a commitment to creating an environment where others can learn and grow. The Harold Willis Dodds Award. This year's recipient is Mary DeVellis. Mary is an anthropology major and has been awarded the George B. Wood Legacy Sophomore Prize, the Shapiro Prize for Academic Excellence, and a Gates Cambridge Scholarship, with plans to earn an MPhil in Health, Medicine, and Society. Her academic accomplishments have been complemented by her service on various campus committees and her involvement in campus activities and service organizations. Those who have worked with Mary speak of the humility and patience with which she engages others in difficult conversations, asking thoughtful but courageous questions in classes and committee meetings, inviting others into the conversation in a respectful manner, and raising the caliber of discussion. The Sanderson Detweiler 1903 Prize. This year's recipient is Emma Parrish. Emma majored in the School of Public and International Affairs with a certificate in Asian American Studies. For 4 years, Emma has been a member of the 2021 class government, serving as its president. In addition to leading the class, Emma was also a residential college advisor and played an integral role in fostering a safe, inclusive, and engaging community for all residential college students by fostering togetherness, encouraging holistic personal development, and promoting safety, citizenship, and health and wellness to build an inclusive environment. The Class of 1901 Medal. This year's recipient is Morgan Smith. Morgan is from Stevenson Ranch, California, and currently calls Los Angeles home. Majoring in the School of Public and International Affairs with a certificate in African American Studies, she served as the first black woman president of the American Whig Cliosophic Society, the oldest collegiate political, literary, and debate society in the nation, and as a cohort leader with Vote 100, Princeton's largest student voting and civic engagement initiative. For fun, she worked in the office of the Dean of Undergraduate Students and was a choreographer with Black Arts Company Dance. She's excited to continue her Princeton journey as a Project 55 Fellow with Chicago Volunteer Legal Services.
It is now my pleasure to introduce our first class Herald speaker. Ed Elson is a classics major from London and a proud member of Ivy Club. Following graduation, Ed will be moving permanently to America to be closer to Harry and Meghan.
Good evening, everyone. Before I begin, let me just say that I am incredibly honored to be here. A foot away from my bed. I also want to deliver a message to my mother. I cleaned my room not for class day, but for you. I know that she will be proud of me as I address a sea of unidentifiable students with their cameras off and revel in the silence of 2,000 mute buttons. I did request an automated laugh track, but President Eisgruber told me that would be a little too sitcom and not enough class day, which is another way of saying my IT department doesn't know how to do that. I understand. In the words of everyone on Earth, these are unprecedented times. Now, I first want to reflect on this past year, which was, above all, a year of extraordinary learning. Through our research institutions, we learned the globally transformative power of modern medicine. Through our communities, we learned the inseparable strength of human connection. And through cutting-edge technology, we learned how to pull up Zoom class in one tab and Netflix in another. Now, I want to emphasize to my professors that I've personally never done this, though I hear it is quite the rage among the class of 2021. I also have a suggestion for the professors in attendance. Next time you call on a student, watch how their eyes dart to the other side of the screen. I leave you, esteemed educators of Princeton University, with a tip from Tony Montana. The eyes, Chico. They never lie. But despite the difficulties of being remote, we students seized every opportunity for extracurricular engagement. No, we didn't have Tiger Lily's Arch Sings, nor Deasiac dances, nor Sunday fun days, nor Quipfire shows, nor Whig Clio debates, nor Murray Dodge cookies, nor Theatre in Time, nor Tiger Treks. But we did have USG free movies on canvas, and I think I speak for everyone when I say that from Boyhood to Memento to Girls Trip, every free movie had me on the edge of my seat. In fact, many parts of Princeton Online were even better than Princeton in person. For example, this year's lawn parties was actually my favourite. It was the first one where I did not wake up at 8 p.m. in a pile of Hoagie Haven wrappers with a pounding headache, thus forcing me to rethink my existence. No, instead, I was one room away from my parents, streaming Jason Derulo's 2010 hit single, Riding Solo. No personal crisis here. Though, as I sat there in extremely sober solitude, I couldn't help but take the song title personally. Yes, we rode solo in the fall, but we rode together in the spring. And as many of us returned to Princeton, we were reminded of what makes this place so unique. The sheer beauty of campus in both January snow and April bloom, the pleasant bustle of Nassau Street on a cool Friday evening, and the fact that you can always pass the Firestone bag check without removing any books. Granted, this semester was by no means business as usual. We each had to make adjustments to our academic lives in accordance with the university's social contract, which was hard but necessary. And although I cannot speak for all students, I found that my relationship with this year's administration was one characterized by trust and understanding. They didn't trust me, and I didn't understand them. Let's put this year aside, though. Let's reflect on how far we've come in these 4 years. We entered Fitzrandolph Gate as young and oblivious teenagers. Hardly any of us knew what a Prospect 12 was. Even fewer knew how to write a thesis statement, and none of us knew what a career in consulting could look like. 4 years and 3,000 coffee chats later, look at us now, a merry band of beer-drinking, thesis-writing consultants. Of course, we are not all consultants. Some of us are bankers. No, we are a diverse body of students with a diverse range of talents and aspirations. I, for one, am so excited for our future accomplishments. But I am more excited for our future co-workers, because in short time, they will get to share a desk with an orange-clad public policy major who, in between humming Old Nassau on the way to the bathroom, lets the entire office know how they determined political biases in US tariffs on grain production through a quantitative analysis in their senior year of college. And to anyone who might soon receive that immense privilege, I say to you, on behalf of all of us at Princeton University, you're welcome. Now, we also mustn't forget our newfound responsibilities as Princeton alumni. As we receive these diplomas, we are called upon to search for and address the great challenges of the real world. As for the coast majors, your responsibility is slightly different. You must turn anything and everything into an NFT, starting with these diplomas. Because if there's anything I've learned from my time at Princeton, it's that 1, physical items are useless, and 2, nothing is more important than putting other people onto the crypto game, in the nation's service and in the service of humanity. No, obviously, I am joking. Princeton has, in reality, taught me 4 valuable life lessons, real ones. Number 1, find a lab partner. Much like my freshman year molecular biology class, life will be filled with things that I do not understand. However, the anxieties they bring are significantly lessened when we find someone to tackle them with. Number 2, don't compare grades. There are countless people at Princeton and in the world who are utterly brilliant at what they do. We therefore cannot measure our value in comparison to anyone other than the person we were yesterday. Number 3, always cite. Acknowledge the people who got you to where you are. Let's take a moment to thank our families, our friends, our professors, our coaches, our caterers, our librarians. Let's thank everyone who had a part to play in the finished and graduated product that is you. And 4. What is 4? Oh, yeah, sorry. 1 second. I pledge my honour that this speech represents my own work in accordance with university regulations. And with that final pledge of honour, you will be elated, ecstatic to hear that my speech is officially and definitively at an end. Thank you so much, and congratulations to the great class of 2021.
To be a Princetonian is to be of service to others. It is now my pleasure to introduce the winner of the Priscilla Glickman Class of '92 Memorial Prize.
The Priscilla Glickman Class of 1992 Memorial Prize. This year's recipient is Daniela Alvarez. Daniela, a Spanish and Portuguese major, is a member of Princeton's first cohort of transfer students since 1990, leaving a legacy of a thriving transfer community. As a co-project leader of El Centro, Daniela taught English as a second language classes to adult immigrants in Trenton with a lens of care and effectiveness, working to make sure all students and the Princeton volunteers felt heard and comfortable. Daniela is an outstanding student, a Latinx leader who embodies the excellence and core values of Princeton. She will become an important voice for democracy, equality, and liberty.
We'd like to thank the athletics staff for their tremendous work during the pandemic. They have dedicated countless hours to supporting student athletes and creating community in virtual and hybrid semesters. Even though many seniors lost their final seasons, the staff has helped maintain unity and meaning among student athletes. The Campus Rec team has also done incredible work to create virtual and in-person programming and spaces for students this year. Thank you for your efforts to ensure that our physical and mental health were upheld.
Every year, we want to recognize the tremendous accomplishments of our student athletes. It is my pleasure to introduce this year's Class Day prize winners presented by the Department of Athletics, the best in the Ivy League. And while I'm here, I might as well look for my bike.
The William Winston Roper Trophy. This year's recipient is Daniel Kwok. Daniel Kwok graduates as a 2-time All-American for Princeton men's fencing, finishing as a national runner-up in the NCAA Sabre Championship in 2019. A psychology major with a pre-med focus from Los Angeles, California, Kwok captured the 2020 NCAA regional title en route to qualifying for the NCAA Championships for the 3rd consecutive season. He is a 2-year team captain and academic All-Ivy honoree. Off the strip, Kwok serves as a college advisor with Matriculate, helping to support high-achieving low-income students. The C. Otto von Kienbusch Award. This year's recipient is Clara Roth. Clara Roth, a team captain and architecture major from Schwetzingen, Germany, helped lead Princeton field hockey to 2 Ivy League titles and 2 NCAA Final Fours. She is a 3-time All-Ivy honoree and 2-time All-American. As a junior, Roth was named a Honda Sport Award finalist and Regional Player of the Year, becoming one of only 11 players in program history to record 100 career points. Off the field, Roth is a member of Athlete Ally and has served as a student athlete wellness leader and eco-rep leader on the Greening Athletics team. The Class of 1916 Cup. This year's recipient is Ali Schwartz. Ali Schwartz is a computer science major on men's heavyweight rowing, where he has led both 3rd and 4th varsity 8s to silver medals at Eastern Sprints. He is an academic All-IRA honoree. Schwartz, a native of Sydney, Australia, is the president of the Princeton chapter of the Tau Beta Pi Engineering Honor Society, and and has also served as a teaching assistant within the computer science department. He was previously awarded Princeton's Shapiro Prize for Excellence in Academic Pursuits. The Art Lane Class of 1934 Award. This year's recipients are Malia Chittenden and Matthew Marquardt. Malia Chittenden is a two-time cross-country and track and field team captain and a first-team All-Ivy honoree. Chittenden, who is from Huntington Beach, California, and in the Princeton School of Public and International Affairs, helped lead her team's work with the Smith Family Foundation in Trenton, providing headphones to 2,000 underprivileged students. She has also tutored incarcerated individuals, supported immigration efforts for the International Rescue Committee, and contributed to the Trenton Project. A backstroke and butterfly specialist for men's swimming and diving, Matthew Marquardt became the first Princetonian to receive the Slavin Fellowship for Entrepreneurship. Marquardt, a chemistry major from Cincinnati, Ohio, has tutored underprivileged children and served as a patient care ambassador at Princeton Medical Center. He also educated the campus on sleep through his Tiger Den sleep workshops. Marquardt recently completed a 20-day cross-country bike ride, raising over $13,000 for pediatric cancer research.
Morgan Carmen is a SPIA major from New York City with certificates in journalism and theater. On campus, Morgan wrote for the All-Nighter and for the Princeton Triangle Club and performed with Quipfire Improv Comedy. So it would be pretty embarrassing if she isn't funny tonight. She also wanted all of you to know that she once passed out after being bitten by a wiener dog. And now she's honored to be one of our class heralds.
Hi everyone, I'm your class herald speaker, which means I'm like your valedictorian. But if your valedictorian wasn't number one in the class. As class herald, I'm charged with bringing you all some happy, lighthearted senior year nostalgia. So that after you walk out of Fitz-Randolph Gates for the first and last time, you think to yourself, hey, maybe I should donate to this magical place. And before you remember that you signed Divest Princeton's pledge not to give money until Princeton stops funding climate change, you've called up alumni giving and promised the school 30% of your income for the rest of your life. I don't know if my words have the power to do all that, especially given the year we've had. This past year was hard. It was a year of no breaks and more breakdowns, and a year of more spit and less swapping of it. But in this speech, I do want to reflect on these last 4 years. Some of what we've learned and some of what we haven't. And I'll end on where this leaves us, walking out of those gates. We have learned so much at Princeton, from how to copy the honor code from one Word document and paste it into another Word document, to the fact that despite what it seems like at orientation, calling P-Safe does not result in a delightful Englishman showing up at your friend's door in tearaway pants. One of the things I've learned at Princeton, as someone from New York City, is what it's like to live in nature. It's here that I've learned to live in the wild, among the scary predators on campus. The foxes, some rabid raccoons, and cats. Joshua cats. Something else I've learned at Princeton is that free speech is really important. It's something that we've read about in pre-reads, heard from the mouth of President Eisgruber himself, and was extolled by the very mysterious, very not conservative organization Princetonians for Free Speech. The books, the president, and the organization are all right. Free speech is essential, primarily because it means I can say things like, Princeton should have a gender and sexuality studies major, or President Eisgruber, I do not like your outfit. Orange is just not your color. Now, there are a few things I thought we would learn at Princeton that I didn't. For instance, I know so many of your faces, but I don't know so many of your names. So some of you will forever be known to me as person who clearly cut me in line at the Frosh ice cream social. I don't remember your name, but boy oh boy do I remember your face, and I will not vote for you when you inevitably run for president. Others of you I will forever know as the guy who just kept his hand on my lower back while talking to me, or guy who did that creepy thing to my friend, but not the other guy who did that other creepy thing, but also the other guy, and yeah, that guy too. None of you will get my vote for president, but you'll have great luck getting on the Supreme Court. Don't get me wrong, this is a great graduating class. So many of you will come to be well known for what you do in this world. This class is full of future Michelle Obamas, Hillary Clintons, Bill Clintons, Andrew Cuomos, Anthony Wieners, Matt Lauers, and there's probably at least one Matt Gaetz among us. A Republican, I mean. Here at Princeton, I never learned how to do my taxes. I never learned how to code. I never learned how to say sorry and mean it. And I certainly never learned how to write the perfect speech. I'm not sure how much I can blame Princeton for these things, but I can blame Princeton for not delivering on what was promised. Before coming here, the only thing I was promised was that at Princeton, I had a pretty good chance of finding my soulmate. In fact, during my very first visit to this campus, my tour guide told me and my expectant family that something like 20% of people find their soulmates at Princeton. That means I was 10 times more likely to find my life partner at Princeton than I was to get into Princeton in the first place. Don't check my math. I never learned how to do simple arithmetic here either. Oh, hello.
Hi.
That's what I wanted! And yet, I am leaving here without a man. Not for lack of trying. I actually blame the time spent on these efforts for why I'm not your real valedictorian. I did all of the right things. I took classes in politics and econ because I thought that's where all the smart guys are, but I found that's where all the guys who talk over you are. I chose to major in the School of Public and International Affairs, where the only man who was there for me all 4 years was Woodrow Wilson. I guess it's easier to lose a name than a $40 million statue. I even tried to become a chill girl at Princeton. You know, the girl who criticizes the exclusivity of eating clubs, bickers, gets in, continues to tell people they don't agree with the system, but can change it from the inside, finds out some bad stuff went down in the club and stays in the club anyway. Go Tiger in! None of these things worked. See, I didn't know that the administration considered teachers 30 years older than me to be eligible bachelors. I might have had more luck if I'd known. So, I am not leaving this place with a husband, or any idea of how to do taxes, or how to always communicate good and effectively. But I am leaving here with record high levels of anxiety, an intense fear of my viral load, and an inexplicable rash. It's not from my mask, it's elsewhere, and I can't explain it. But at Princeton, I have felt nurtured and safe. I'm sorry, 1 second. Hello? Oh, it's a tiger alert. A lewd robbery? The robber was armed but naked. Sorry, what was I saying? Oh, yes. Safe. But all kidding sort of aside, I'm leaving this place having grown over these past few years in unimaginable ways. I've learned from incredible professors, endlessly supportive mentors, and the most wonderful friends I could have ever asked for. This institution moves closer and closer to reaching its full potential every day because of all of you. Because of the work of inspiring student activists, past and present, from the Black Justice League to Princeton 9 now. Because of the professors who, this year and in years past, reject the notion that recognizing students' humanity diminishes the quality of their scholarship, and instead hold that the vulnerability enhances the work we do here. This place is magical. You know what? I will donate 30% of my income to this school for the rest of my life. As long as Princeton divests from all fossil fuels, makes the Triangle Club a Division I sports team, and finds me a soulmate my age. Thank you, and good luck to the class of 2021.
We would like to extend a special thank you to the dining staff. Over the 4 years, and especially this year, members of the dining staff have made it their mission to spread joy to students, and it has worked. We can all recall a time when swipers asked about our day or girl chefs remembered our orders. We thank you for making the extra effort to ensure that both our stomachs and our hearts have been full all 4 years.
One of the great Princeton traditions is inducting honorary class members for their noteworthy service to a class or the Princeton community at large. Our class officers will now present this year's honorary class members.
I am thrilled to induct Rabbi Julie Roth as an honorary member of the great class of 2021. Rabbi Julie has worked to create a welcoming environment at the Center for Jewish Life, making it a home for religious and secular students alike. She has led interfaith discussions, taught classes on spiritual growth, and helped Jewish life on campus thrive throughout the pandemic. Rabbi Julie is an active member of the Princeton community, both on campus and in town. She is the first female rabbi to be appointed executive director of an Ivy League Hillel. Under her leadership, the Princeton Center for Jewish Life has become #1 in depth of student engagement and resources per student of any Hillel worldwide. She is not just a leader, but also a friend to all. Rabbi Julie, we thank you for making a safe space for religious practice on campus and for being a positive role model in our lives. We are so excited to have you in our class.
Our next honorary class member is someone who many of you will recognize from around campus. He's been at every event, from class formals to the bonfire to athletic events and so much more, photographing and documenting student life for the past 19 years. For his quirky humor and incredible photography and videography skills, Samir Khan has become beloved by so many on campus. This year especially, Samir has been instrumental in thinking outside of the box to document a year like no other in a thoughtful way. Samir is the man behind the Princeton is Wherever You Are and Tigers of Nassau photojournalism campaigns, both of which have connected us all and allowed us to share our varying experiences in a COVID world. He has also worked day and night over the past few weeks, filming and editing the virtual commencement content, including this very video. Hi, Samir. Samir, we are so grateful for your dedication to the Princeton community and to our class especially, and we're incredibly honored to welcome you to the great class of 2021.
Last fall, many seniors were worried about not being able to come to campus to celebrate the end of our time as undergraduates. When we got the email saying that we would all be invited back to campus in the spring, we were so ecstatic to return to the best place of all, and to a place that is home. Robin Izzo is someone who has played a massive role in making this all happen, spending months getting the COVID testing lab up and running. Despite the toll that COVID took on Robin personally, she continued to work day and night to make sure that students, faculty, and staff could come back to campus. We are so grateful to Robin for allowing our senior spring to happen on campus.
Four years ago, Dean Ian Dees started at Princeton just as we did, and so it's only fitting that he be inducted as one of our honorary classmates. You may know Ian from his influencer-level Instagram presence or for his dedication to being the fashion king of New Jersey, but you may also know him as a mentor, advisor, and source of support throughout our time here at Princeton. Anyone who meets Ian can tell how much he cares about his work, mentoring student groups and advising student leaders. He is incredibly kind and compassionate and is a role model to our community as a first-generation college student himself. For our work on class government, Ian has always been our #1 fan, coming to all of our class events, repping 2021 class gear, and being the recipient of countless urgent text messages, even after he was no longer officially our class advisor. It's been an honor for all of us to know Ian for these past 4 years, and we are so excited to induct him as an honorary member of the class of 2021.
Allison Slater Tate, 96, and Gary Walsh, 71, are members of our parent and grandparent classes, respectively. They both have played incredibly important roles in our class's alumni engagement. Allison has helped facilitate so many of our previous events for mentorship and networking, such as the Summer Alumni Lecture Series in 2020 and the Hoagie Haven Tigers in Town in 2021. Gary has helped facilitate alumni mentorship programs and reunion events. Personally, both Allison and Gary have been great mentors and advisors to the class officers as well. Allison and Gary, welcome to the great class of 2021. Although we miss celebrating our first and your major year reunions together, we know that our class will get to celebrate every reunion from now on with you both. The class of 2021 welcomes you as honorary members of our class. In our 4 years at Princeton, you have contributed extraordinarily to our alumni engagement opportunities. We thank you for your involvement and look forward to seeing you at future reunions.
We'd like to thank the entire library staff for their help and support during this difficult academic year. Thank you for opening up the library safely for us this semester, helping us with our senior thesis research virtually, and always being a friendly face during the nightly 2 a.m. exodus out of Firestone. Thank you so much for the contributions to our class.
It is my honor to introduce our Class Day speaker, Mr. Trevor Noah. Originally from South Africa and a current resident of New York City, Trevor Noah is one of the most successful comedians in the world. In just the past year, his Emmy award-winning TV show, The Daily Show with Trevor Noah, received 6 Emmy nominations. Mr. Noah has also written, produced, and starred in 11 comedy specials. Many in our class consider him to be one of the most astute cultural critics of our time, and they have found his comedy as an entryway into deeper conversation. In April of 2018, Mr. Noah launched the Trevor Noah Foundation, a development initiative that empowers youth with access to high-quality education. Through a partnership with Microsoft, the foundation is able to provide under-resourced schools with technology as a tool to enhance the learning experience and increase digital literacy beyond the classroom. We are thrilled to have Mr. Noah as our Class Day speaker because of his talent for bringing joy during this year's unprecedented times and to talk about challenging subjects with humor. He has inspired us with his ability to transcend boundaries and navigate the world with grace, kindness, and a commitment to finding common ground. Now, I would like to present Mr. Trevor Noah in conversation with our Class Day chairs, Kamya, Michael, and Morgan.
Welcome in, Mr. Noah. It's so good to see you. My name's Morgan.
What's going on, Morgan? How you doing?
Doing well.
Hi, Mr. Noah. I'm Kamya. It's so nice to meet you.
Hi, Kamya. How you doing? Pleasure to meet
Pretty
you.
good.
Hi, Mr. Noah. I'm Michael.
Good to meet you, Michael. You've got a really cool picture in like the what is it? The Class Day thing. You guys have like a little superhero compilation going on there. I like it. I appreciate it.
It is such a pleasure to welcome you in. So we have a couple of questions on behalf of our peers that we know that they're just so eager to hear from you. And so the first question is, when did it hit that, comedy, like this is my calling, this is what I'm good at? But when did that moment hit for you, and how might we seek that moment out for ourselves?
It was the first time somebody paid me, Morgan. That's when the moment was. No, I'm joking. The first moment when I knew it was a calling was instinctively when I made people laugh for the first time. So, in school, I'd always been like the class clown. I was never the most popular kid, but I made everybody laugh. I mean, whether it was the bullies, whether it was the jocks, whether it was the nerds, I just knew how to make people laugh. I knew how to get into their worlds. I would make teachers laugh as well. It's not like I was an asshole to my teachers. They'd never be like, Trevor misbehaves. They would always just say like, he just, he likes making people laugh too much. Sometimes he needs to calm down. And this would follow me everywhere in life. I would tell jokes at parties. I would, whenever there was a group of people gathered around, I would try and tell funny stories. And over time, I came to realize that this was something I wish I could do. But you must remember, in South Africa, we didn't have a comedy scene at that time, because of apartheid. Free speech was inhibited. And so it's not like we ever had a comedy thing. So I never dreamed of being a comedian. But I think that's when the calling hit me. And so, yeah, for the first few months of my comedy career, I did it for free. I loved it. And it only became a career when somebody paid me for the first time. Then I was like, oh, wow, I can actually try and do what I love for a living. And that, as they say, the rest is history.
Mr. Noah, how do you navigate belongingness? As an international student, I'm constantly thinking about what home means. You grew up in South Africa and then moved to the US to pursue comedy. So do you ever find yourself feeling like home is in multiple places and nowhere at the same time? Or is it something completely different for you?
You know what I've come to realize Kamya, is I've come to realize that home for me could be different for everyone, but home for me is where my people are. And what I've come to learn is my people can be anywhere. So I have a close-knit group of friends who I've grown up with, who I've met over the years in my life, whether it's in comedy or in just general life. And those people have become like the core of who I am as a person. They remind me of who I am. They make me enjoy life with them. We share stories and we build together. And so for me, those people have become home. And so when I think of South Africa, I think of that as my home. But then when I think of New York, I think of New York as my home. I think of the joy that I have when I'm out here. I think of California at some point. Pasadena was my home. So for myself, I've come to realize that as long as I have the people, any place feels like home. And in terms of belonging, it is the people who make you feel like you belong or you don't. It's not the place. And so if you can find a group of people who you relate to, who make you aspire to be more, who challenge you, who help you enjoy life and, help you through the tough times as well, then I think you'll find a sense of belonging no matter where you are.
Mr. Noah, I want to get a little bit more into your work. In your mind, what role does comedy play in popular culture right now? So what are you thinking about when you create content for your specials or for The Daily Show?
Well, Michael, the one thing about comedy now is that it's so mainstream and it's so big that I don't think it has a role. I think it can play multiple roles, So asking what role does comedy play is like saying, what role does tech play? Or what role does music play? Or what role, I think there was a time when comedy was so niche that maybe it played a role. But I think now it plays many roles. The most important one for me, I define my rules for comedy and I go, number one, the first rule for me is to make people feel better. That's what I'm trying to do. I want you to laugh. When you come to my show, when you watch my TV show, whatever you do, I want you to leave feeling a little bit better than when you came in. And that's because I love that. I love going to comedy shows where I laugh and I enjoy myself and I go like, man, that was fun. And then I'm laughing on the way home and I'm trying to tell the jokes to my friends the next day. That for me is what I'm looking for. And that's what I try and give to an audience. I think comedy on a larger scale for me is also about speaking truth. Comedy for me has always been that place where it's like we can talk about the uncomfortable truths. We can talk about racism while laughing with people. We can talk about misogyny while laughing with people. We can talk about some of the more uncomfortable things in society and hopefully poke holes and reveal some of the light that comes through those holes while using comedy to I guess lessen the burden that the audience is feeling. So instead of it just being a lecture about like, oh, this is why racism is bad, it's using comedy in such a way where somebody's sitting in the audience and they're like, man, I never thought of it like that. Yeah, actually, racism is pretty stupid. I got to think about these things. I got to figure that out. Oh, yeah, actually, why do we have toxic masculinity as men? This is holding us back. Maybe we should try and figure, but it's like, how do you figure out how to play with that and tell the truth? And so for me, comedy is oftentimes a tool that I will use to subvert what society has accepted as normal or the standard or the status quo, because that's oftentimes what happens in societies. We just accept something as being normal. And then at some point, as a comedian, you go like, guys, this is not normal. You realize that, right? This is not actually normal. We've just done it for so long. And so I enjoy those aspects of comedy. And I think that's the role that comedy fills in my life and what I try to do with it in the world.
So thinking of that subversion and that discomfort, what has been your greatest lesson around taking risks?
What has been my greatest lesson in taking risk? That's interesting. I think I would split that lesson into two. Number one, not all risks are worth taking. And what I mean by that is sometimes I understand that the risk may not even be to myself, but it may be to the subject of the comedy or the unintended consequences of the comedy that I'm saying. And so what I realize is I go, if I'm trying to tell this joke and it may come off the wrong way, let me try and spend more time not telling it and figuring out how to clean up the what I like to call the targets of the joke and then minimize the risk, if I can call it that, because I can't control how people feel about jokes. Everyone can be offended about anything. I don't believe in like going, oh, if you're offended, oh, I'm sorry. No, you can be offended by anything I say. And if you are offended, I didn't intend to offend you. And because offense is taken, I have no control over your offense. What I do know is comedy, not just professional comedy, but even between human beings, interpersonal comedy is all contextual. You know, you can say something, Morgan, to your friends that a stranger could never say to you because you have the context of your friendship. You know, Michael, you can say the same thing to your friends that nobody can say. And the same thing with you, Kamya. You can say things. These are things that you have because you have context. And so when I look at the risk, I first look at the context and then I think about mitigating that risk. And so I go, who are we and what are we talking about? Unfortunately, these days, especially with comedy and I think with social media as well, a lot of the time context gets thrown into the wind because you can be having a conversation with one person. And social media is weird because back in the day, I would be talking to Kamya, just me and you, Kamya, and I'll be talking to you. And let's say we've been best friends for 10 years and I'll tell you a joke about India and then you'll tell me a joke about South Africa and we laugh. Now we do that on social media. And then somebody who doesn't know us goes, how dare you say that about India? How dare you say that about South Africa? And all of a sudden, the context of our conversation has been lost. And so when I look at the risk, I try and mitigate as much as I can that happening because my intention is not to, I don't have time to offend people. I'm not even trying to. I don't benefit anything from that. So I try and mitigate that risk, but at the same time, not at the expense of speaking my truth.
Thank you so much. Something that, we've been thinking about is traveling during the pandemic. And in Afraid of the Dark, you said that traveling is the antidote to ignorance. For those of us who missed the typical college experience because of the pandemic, could you talk more about how travel has influenced your own perspectives?
Wow. Travel has not just influenced, it's shaped my perspective, Travel for me is a humbling experience if you do it because it will show you that the world is bigger than your world. It'll also show you that every idea you have that you accept as dogma is in fact just an idea. And so when you travel, you start to realize that most of the rules we learn as human beings are just societal structural ideas that have been imparted on us by our parents or our forefathers. But when you go somewhere else, they're like, no, we just don't do that, and I think that that's humbling. And I think it's also informative because it tells you and it teaches you that the way you think the world isn't. It's just the way your world is. And so whether it's learning that somewhere out there, people are just like, man, English, who gives a damn about English? And you're like, oh, but English. And they're like, no, we don't care. And you're like, but how do you do things? And they're like, yeah, we don't care. We speak other languages. That's humbling. You go to another place where they go like, oh, this is what we do. This is how we eat. We eat with our hands, or this is how we speak, or this is how we laugh, or this is how we dance, or this is how we communicate, everything. And I think that's a humbling experience. That's why I truly enjoy it, because I think it gives you a sense of understanding that everybody is generally coming from a perspective in the world that they think is correct because they've learned it. But in fact, there is no one correct way to do anything, unless it's science. Everything else, we've just applied with a veneer of the way it's supposed to be.
So we're coming a little bit close to the end here. I think we have time for one more question, and then the 2021 class officers want to induct you as an honorary member of our class. So this past year has been, it's been incredibly stressful and also transformative in both good and bad ways for everybody. So I want to ask you, looking forward, what is your greatest hope and your biggest fear for the year that follows?
My greatest hope is that we will use this time, which is arguably one of the worst periods the world has been in recent history, to try and transform how we do things. Let's relook everything the way we've been forced to relook everything. Let's relook work. Do people need to be in the office 5 days a week? I think we've realized that they don't need to be. If possible, people can work from home when they need to. It can be better for your mental health. It can be better for traffic on the roads. It can be better for parents who need to stay home and look after their kids when they're sick. It could be better for everybody in society. We realize now that it's possible. I hope that in the future, we apply these lessons. I hope that in the future, we come to realize that just like everybody who was forced to stay home or forced to leave work or forced to not participate in society, that once coronavirus is gone, there is still a subset of society that has permanent coronavirus. People don't just not have jobs because they don't want to have jobs. Most people are out of work. Most people cannot be integrated into the workforce. Most people are struggling. Most people are starving. This is happening despite coronavirus. Coronavirus just made it, I guess, a more mainstream thing. And I hope that after this, we have a little more compassion and going like, oh, wow, you're unemployed. I know what it's like to be unemployed because coronavirus made me unemployed. Oh, wow, you haven't been this, or you're sick, or you're disabled, or I understand these things a little bit more because temporarily I experienced these same statuses. I hope that we move forward with a certain sense of compassion. What are my fears going forward? My fears, especially for America, is that coronavirus will merely become a blip on the radar where people learn nothing from it. My fear is that it'll become a politicized idea in people's minds where somehow the way so many things have in America because of social media and just the way information gets warped, it'll become another conspiracy theory. It'll become another, like, oh, who did coronavirus? Who did 9/11? It just becomes a game. And my fear is that instead of looking at this as a moment in time when humanity itself was tested and people were forced to think together and move together and be together, it will actually be seen as just another point of fragmentation where people can go off in their different directions and believe whatever they want to believe. And I fear that many people will learn nothing from this experience. That's my fear.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Noah.
No, thank you.
Thank you all. It was a pleasure.
Thank you so much, Mr. Noah, for taking the time to join our graduating class on this special day. Before we officially induct you into our class, I would like to start with introductions from our class officers. My name is Emma, and I'm the senior class president. I'm studying in the School of Public and International Affairs, and I'm from Tenafly, New Jersey.
Hi, I'm Sanjana. I'm the senior class vice president. I'm a sociology major and also from New Jersey.
Hi, I'm Kavya. I am the senior class treasurer. I'm from Miami, Florida, and I'm studying in the School of Public and International Affairs.
Hi, my name's Ariel. I'm the 2021 class secretary. I'm a psychology major with a certificate in gender and sexuality studies, and I'm from Cherry Hill, New Jersey.
Hello, I'm Phoebe. I'm the 2021 class social chair. I study civil and environmental engineering, and I'm from Philadelphia.
And so every year we select honorary class members to join in our graduation celebrations. Mr. Noah, we're absolutely thrilled to welcome you to the great class of 2021. And I'd like to take a moment to read what is written on the certificate that we're presenting to you as part of your official induction into our class. So the Princeton University class of 2021 welcomes Trevor Noah into its ranks for his singular talent of bringing joy during the unprecedented times of this past year. Mr. Noah captivates and inspires our generation through wit and incisive analysis of the salient socioeconomic and cultural issues of our world today. He is guided by a moral compass that seeks equity and justice for all people, and in doing so demonstrates to us the power of giving voices to one's own values. Mr. Noah has inspired us with his ability to transcend boundaries and navigate the world with grace, kindness, and a commitment to finding common ground. We are honored and grateful to invite him into our cohort. And so as a member of the great class of 2021, you will receive the Alumni Magazine, and we're honored to invite you to all of our class reunions in the future. Professor Eddie Glaude, who has been a guest on your show, was kind enough to send along some signed books for you to add to your collection. And finally, we'd like to present you with some Princeton clothing. I see that you're already wearing your Princeton hoodie, and we're hoping that you'll add some more orange into your wardrobe. Thank you again for your remarks, and welcome to the Princeton class of 2021.
Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. I will now introduce myself. Hi, I'm Trevor Noah. I am the part of the honorary class of 2021, and I've been studying hoodie management. I have a degree in hoodie management. My major has been sweatpants and general hoodie Zoom couture. And so that is what I've been studying this year. And I just want to say thank you to everybody. I appreciate you so much. And we did it, guys. We did it. We graduated. We did it. Thanks, everybody. I really appreciate you guys, man. This has been so much fun. And I really hope you guys go out and change the world. Don't let it be the same way it was before you came into it. Thank you, everybody.
As we find ourselves on the evening before graduation, we want to take a moment and recognize the tremendous work that it took for us to get here. We have all demonstrated tenacity, resilience, and drive in meeting the challenges of not just this past years. In thinking about how far we've come, we also recognize that we have very rarely been alone on this path.
We were in this together, with the support of our friends and families who helped us gain our footing, with faculty who helped spark our curiosity and sharpen our minds, with staff who often put our needs before their own, even driving through snowstorms to ensure that we were fed and that paths were cleared, that libraries, gyms, and dormitories were clean and ready for our use each day.
Our Princeton experiences would not have been the same without the dedication and care of our families, friends, faculty, and staff, and for that we are eternally grateful. We would also like to thank Mr. Noah and you, the class of 2021, for joining us to reflect on our time together at Princeton and highlight the many experiences, perspectives, and talents that make Princeton a magical place for all of us.
As we began our Princeton careers, learning Old Nassau on the sunny steps of Blair Arch 4 years ago, we ask that you join selected students from our class in singing Old Nassau to formally conclude tonight's program. This past year, the commencement committee closed each meeting with our own Zoom version of Old Nassau. We really hope you do better than we did. We cannot wait to gather together for commencement. Good night and be well.
Every heart and every voice, bid every care withdraw.
Let all with one accord rejoice
In praise of Old Nassau.
In praise of Old Nassau we sing, hurrah, hurrah, hurrah.
Our hearts will give while we shall live. 3 cheers for Old Nassau.
Good afternoon. It is my pleasure
Washington, walk sign is on to cross. Washington, walk sign is on to cross. Washington, walk sign is on to cross. Washington.
Never mind.
4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
One feature of Class Day, however, has remained constant. This day belongs to you, the senior class.